When you look at a gamer's normal day, it would consist of lots of sitting in front of their consoles or computers, along with a little bit of bathroom breaks and trips to the kitchen to get food and eat it in front of their desks. But if they're not there, it's almost certain that you can spot them at the mall lining up to be the first to get their hands on the latest games or trying to trade 40 games for $12 store credit. This was EB Games, the mecca of physical gaming. A holy site for anyone who grew up before cloud saves were a thing. Fast forward to now, and it's more like a merch museum with sale signs plastered all around the store. Why? Because EB Games is dying, slowly, painfully, and kinda awkwardly, like someone's still trying to sell you DVDs in the Netflix era. But how did we get here? And can EB Games actually survive? Or is this just another name to add to the retail graveyard? In the early 2000s, EB Games was the place to be. Pre-order bonuses? Check. Trade-in deals? Check. Midnight launches where grown adults screamed about Call of Duty like it was the final seconds of a major sports event? Triple check. You'd walk in and be greeted by towering walls of game cases, that distinct plastic and new carpet smell, and a part-time employee trying to upsell you a strategy guide. It was glorious. And here in Australia, EB Games practically had a monopoly. You either bought your games there or, well, you went outside and nobody wanted that. But as with all things, the golden age didn't last. Slowly, digital games started creeping in. Steam turned your PC into a one-stop shop. Why line up at midnight, fight a crowd, and pay full retail when you could just click download and start playing while eating Doritos in bed? EB Games, meanwhile, stuck to their physical first model. And as the industry went full digital, EB kinda didn't and went the other way. The result? Exactly how it is now. Barely surviving and holding for their dear life, or in short, dying. Instead of adapting, they doubled down. On what exactly? Funkos. So many Funkos. But we'll come back to that later. If you walk into an EB Games today, you might find some games. Maybe. If you squint. But mostly, you'll see plushies, anime mugs, keychains, t-shirts, and yes, an army of dead-eyed Funko Pops watching you silently judge your life choices. And gamers have noticed. One Redditor put it bluntly, "I walked in looking for a controller and left with a Rick and Morty lunchbox and existential dread." Another user said, "At this point, EB Games is like the spirit Halloween of gaming. It pops up, sells you junk, then disappears." Harsh? Maybe, but not wrong. EB Games tried to pivot into a pop culture store, but ended up in a weird limbo. Too geeky for casuals, too shallow for hardcore fans. It's like they asked, what if Hot Topic sold fewer clothes and even fewer actual games? So, sales tanked, and then came the closures. In January 2020, EB Games Australia announced they were shuttering 19 unprofitable stores. And let's be real, unprofitable is corporate speak for nobody walked in except to use the air conditioner. Gone are the days where every time you go grocery shopping with your mum, you always ask to stop by EB Games whether you actually have money to buy a new game or not. News started rolling out, and the news spread fast, all in bold, highlighted headlines. Speaking things such as EB Games to close stores across Australia, the death of physical retail in gaming, and gamers react with shrugs. These weren't isolated incidents. They were signs that the ship was leaking, and it was leaking really fast. Oh, and did we mention that EB Games is owned by GameStop? And just like GameStop, it also became a meme stock, survived on Reddit hype, and somehow still exists, thanks to a mix of nostalgia and diamond hands. Because of this, they suffered the same business model issues. They are too reliant on physical game copies, they are way too slow to adapt to the innovations of the digital age, and way too many Funko Pops. Seriously though, who is buying all these? So, when GameStop stumbled, EB Games felt the tremors, and the aftershocks that it experienced, they were probably a whole lot stronger. Let's break down why EB Games is losing the war. First, digital sales dominate the game. Over 90% of all game sales in some regions are now digital. You can't fight the cloud with a clearance bin. People love convenience. I mean, who doesn't? Second, their pricing. Definitely not helping their case. EB often charges $10 to $30 more for the same game you can get cheaper elsewhere, online or even at JB Hi-Fi. How are they even selling them for more when they aren't even the first choice when it comes to picking where to buy a video game? Next, trade-ins are a joke. You give them a mint condition PlayStation 4, which you handled like a newborn child, and they offer you an amount which is enough to buy a bad leftover sandwich. And lastly, the store feels empty, physically and emotionally. There's no vibe, no crowd, and no reason to hang around unless you're really into Naruto socks. Things aren't just how they used to be with all the innovations that came along. Okay, now let's play optimist for a second. Can EB Games actually turn this around? Maybe, if they stop trying to be everything and instead become something specific. Community events, indie showcases, retro games, gaming cafes, smaller specialized stores that give people a reason to visit, and stores with personality. Because the only way to beat online convenience is offline experience. Let's be honest, if an EB Games hosted a Mario Kart tournament with pizza and prizes, we'd show up. The nostalgic feeling and the experience of being around people who share the same passion over a video game you love could be their biggest weapon. But if they keep doubling down on overpriced anime bathrobes and Skyrim mugs, yeah, we're good. EB Games is more than a store. Or rather, it was. For a generation of gamers, it was where memories were made. Even if half of those memories involved getting $2 for a copy of FIFA 14. But in a world where games are downloaded and everything's one click away, the EB Games experience no longer fits in the gaming scene. Now, unless something drastic changes, it looks like EB is headed to the great big bargain bin in the sky. But hey, I guess the bright side is we'll always have the Funkos, which actually isn't a silver lining for a lot of people. So that's the story of EB Games, from Gamer Haven to Merch Museum. If you made it this far, congrats. You officially qualify for $1.25 in store credit. Kidding. Unless you brought in 20 PS3 games. But seriously, if you've ever lined up for a midnight launch, argued with someone about pre-order bonuses, or walked out with a plastic bag full of dreams, this one was for you. Hit that like button if you felt the nostalgia. Subscribe for more deep dives into gaming, business, and why all your favorite childhood places are mysteriously disappearing. And hey, let me know in the comments, what's your EB Games story? The best, the worst, or the most overpriced? And if you enjoyed this video, do yourself a favor and hit that bell button so that you won't miss a single upload from us, as we have a lot of good stories to tell. And as always, stay curious. Till next time.